G'day guys, it's Jay here from Journey of a Whitefeather, and of course a chat with Jay right here live on. We're doing a Zoom meeting with. We're flying over to Canada, one of my favourite places. I've got my friend Jackie Lyons over there, and my hero Brett the Hitman Hart, which I'll talk about later. But I'm talking to a great friend of mine, all the way from Squamish, British Columbia, it's near Vancouver, because I'm still learning about all these things. Because we talk to so many people. It's so great with the internet. Colleen Wynia, she's a spiritual intuitive, and it's a Reset Your Vibe program she wrote, or the creator of it. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Jay, for having me. I really appreciate it. Really excited about getting going here to bring to your viewers some great insight. To add to what you said, I'm a spiritual intuitive, that's correct, and a channeler, helping people tap into their intuition and their inner heart, helping them through guidance and connecting the heart. And you were close. I call it on a fun side. We all know about energy.
Yep, we all know about that.
Energy speaks volumes. It's everything when we're in the low and when we're here. So rather than saying just energy healer and energy coach, I do a little play. I help you reset your vibe as an energy coach.
I like it.
Yeah. And this is so you were close. The program is called Crystallize Your Vision, to help you crystallize.
That's right. I wrote that down, but I wasn't sure. The reason why I didn't say it, because there's certain things that our viewers love to hear from the actual authors or creators. So, we'll start off with that. Tell us a little about it. It's crystallizing your vision. Was that correct?
Yes, but let's back up. Actually, I agree with you. Like, that's one of the solutions I offer beautiful humans who are connecting with their heart, so they can ignite more clarity, more confidence, and more creativity through their emotional wisdom or their connection to their intuitive brilliance. Now, that's a mouthful. What does that mean? It's really about connecting. I hold space. We'll bring it back. So over 20 years ago, I think what the viewers really appreciate knowing is we're all these beautiful humans right now, and we're navigating some really heavy energies internally so we can raise our frequency.
Yes.
And the external
Yes.
shift, like in British Columbia.
Huge. It's huge.
Oh, and I just took some incredible photos along with half the other population.
I saw them. It looked like I was like, how do I put it? It's like, look, I'm a comic book freak, so I'm looking like these powers are coming down, and they're giving us such beautiful energies and powers, and just reality of what's actually happening and what our reality is. I mean, all of us being like, look, I use analogies like chosen ones and all that. So it's not a tag, it's just a analogy that I use. And I think, as you were talking about going to your heart and working within your heart, and I know I've just gone into it only the last year, really, it's amazing what's been happening with these energies, solar eclipses and lunar eclipses and all that. So what kind of effect has that had on you? Because it looks like, mate, your energy, wow, it's fantastic.
Well, I appreciate your reflection back. That's just a mirror to you. That's a mirror to your connection to self. But you know what? If you'd have talked to me, what is today when we're filming? It is a Thursday. Okay. Yep. And let me background. I'm not an astrologist.
Please do.
I'm not a scientist. I'm in a touchy-feely, emotional, woo-woo kidding. But I'm heavily help people transmute, dissolve things that are held in their cellular body, right, to free them up. So would you know it that the chosen as chosen ones to do whatever it is we're here to do? I really this is a kind of a strong word, but kind of like fought or detested that I was given certain what's the word when you say like there's a path, or my soul path?
Well, your soul path, yeah, because we've all had it. I think we've all gone through it, like where you are, where I am. We've all got our own journeys, but we have one collective goal, if that makes any sense.
Oh, 1000%. Yeah. You're right on the money. And what I was leaning into is how, and many of you may feel like this, we're going through such emotional, we'll just say emotional release, emotional getting in touch with what's been locked down. And so as a result of what ended up happening this past weekend, in many parts of the globe, particularly the northern parts, is this geomagnetic storm that had, apparently, this is me learning just like you,
Yep.
apparently there's G1 to G5 in terms of
Okay.
intensity. And I learned that we haven't had a storm, a cosmic geostorm that affects energies, which can affect like communications and Zoom calls. It happened to me too. Zoom interruptions, all these things, since 2005. It's almost,
Okay.
yeah. And so we had a G5 or something like this, I've read, and I felt it like I often do in my body. And I will tell you, although I've helped so many humans, like for over 20 years, free themselves from pain, loss, self-doubt, leaning into their abundance, into their dreams, like all that direction, I go through it. I go through it. And on Saturday, you could have taken me and there was no hope. There was grief. There was sadness. I cried. I'm like, I'm not worthy. It was just coming up. And it does that to me. I do go through this on a, semi-regular basis when it needs to happen for me. And in
Right.
that moment, that moment, you've probably been there. And it's like, you're just like, there's no light, there's no future. I can't see past here. And my mind knew, like, this will pass, this too shall pass. But I would say that the way I help people connect to their heart, my business name originally, Jay, was Heartlink Consulting.
Okay.
Heartlink. It still really is. I just, when you brand, I go ColleenWynia.com just to make things
Just
simple.
make it simple. Yeah, exactly. I get where you're going.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because
But
it's like similar to what you're going into your heart. I like this came up in 10 minutes for me, mind you, and this is where we're at. I quite agree with what you're doing because we're actually feeling what's going on, energetically, and because I another analogy is we're like the super friends. So like you got Batman, Robin, and all that with all our superpowers, right? So we're all connected we're connected as one, but we've all got our own individuality and how we help people. And it's been a big shift with regards to that, and I think a lot of revelations have come my way as well. I vision every night for the last 8 to 10 months. It's just out of control. But the main thing is, with the visions comes that internal power and an internal message. Mine was basically remove the mask, write your story. So I
hmm.
think you'll
And
you'll see that in some cases, but it's a reality for myself. And the other thing for me, which I'd like you to comment on, is I've always been a person that has never really looked inside myself until I actually had a twin flame experience, which we'll go on to in the second part, and I actually turned everything upon myself. Lessons, gifts, messages. That just and also everything's not anything is not a coincidence. So that's a little bit about what you're saying and what's been happening has happened in the last, I think, since about the 20th of Feb, we had that retrograde area, and then we had those solar storms, solar eclipses, lunar eclipses, 2 moons. We won't go into that. Yeah, here we go. So you get it.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I lean in. I don't know or fully understand astrology, but I
Yeah, me
love
too.
learning it. And when I lean into particularly one gal I love called Pamela Gregory. She's
Pamela
over in
Gregory.
the,
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
over in the UK, very popular. She interviews a lot of people, but she was just saying like, wow, 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 we've been through like, it's like the dark side, just so much stuff. And now I'm going to come back and I want to speak to something that you spoke about yourself. I
Go
want to
for it.
bring through something that came through. Anything? I'm just making a note to myself so I
All right, I'm
remember.
doing this. I'm doing the same thing. So I'm writing that. So please do it. Yeah, write notes, whatever you need to do. Because It's a
That, well, I
case.
actually, yeah, I won't type away this time, but just
No
scribbles
problem. No problem.
cantaloupe for you. So Pamela was agreeing. She said, this has been, it's so big, so profound. There's so much, this is to help us all, even though it feels so big.
Uh,
And bigger the purpose. Okay, everything you do has purpose.
yes,
Everything. Cleaning our house. It's not like clients come to me and I go to others over the years. What's my purpose? What's my purpose? And your purpose, my loves, is to show up in authenticity, to be and to help yourself move into believing and trusting that source got your back, universe has your back.
that's
So
fantastic.
thank you. Yeah, I mean, I need to hear it like flossing my teeth every day. I need to feel it when I don't feel it. So Pamela said the really cool thing about May J, really cool thing about May, hey Jay, is and we're in May. So the rest of May and this time right now moving forward, really take the time to connect with your hearts, to allow the more peaceful experience or heartfelt connection, and take that time is what I'm hearing for me and for some is to reflect and to really dive into what do we want our life to really feel like and what are we doing that we need to let go. So going back to you, Jay, I'm going to reverse back to what you said about your recent, your growth, your journey. There were two things that came through just to remind us that you were talking about your shift and really your outside experience. Well, the inside is leading you.
That's right.
The feeling. So if you're harboring the pain and you're harboring it all around you, you could be doing all the right things, my loves, on the outside.
Absolutely. 100%.
I,
100%, Colin. 100%, Colin. I've
yeah.
got a friend of mine, my mentor, Greg Riley from Five Dimensions. Big shout out to him. He's saying the same thing. It's all about internalizing yourself and getting to know you, what's going on within you. And, the universe is part of you, however you want to put it. But at the end of the day, you're doing the mirror, you're turning it back onto yourself to whether you believe in re-engage in the subconscious mind, getting within your heart chakra, understanding what's going on, because it's as I said, it's absolutely crazy out there, Colleen, and yourself. I mean, I can see the passion. You know what's going on.
So we come back to ourselves, Jay, because it's not about, it is about what's going on, being, sure we're being aware because we're, but it's to change. We're the creator. So yes, the mind, yes, but where I was elaborating is inside of you is actually what's leading you. So if your frequency is in pain and emotion, and you don't even have to know what it is, seriously, guys, I have techniques. I've worked with clients for years with breath work and energy, right? Like
Yep.
back in the day when I started doing rebirthing sessions with clients, it was like, what is that? Now you can't go on to social media or anyone's teaching without knowing that breath work is amazing. Maybe you haven't done it, but it will help you.
I get it. Don't worry. Breathing is it's like when I do DDP yoga. That's the first thing 12 years ago when I had another moment where I made changes. It was all about breathing. It's about getting yourself back centered. Simple as that. Get yourself on the ground, shoes off, on the ground, and just breathe and just be within you. And it's such a powerful thing. You can go advanced, of course. You can do all your advanced breath work and all that. But I think people, for an absolute simple thing you could do, and as you're saying, to get within yourself is just to center yourself and just breathe. It's a life force, let's be honest. Between that and blood, it's a life force.
You took the words out of my mouth. I was waiting to expand on that. Yeah,
You're going to extend on it. Go for it. What do you?
No, I was going to use the word life force energy. I was just sitting here listening, and receiving your beautiful share that, just the tiniest little bit. Like, for example, when I started doing the breath work for others, I first did it for myself because I'd gone through a tremendous amount of grief and loss. My dad and my cousin were both diagnosed with cancer. My cousin was like my brother, and we were only,
Okay.
we were in our 20s. And we grew up like as little kids sharing sleeping bag and teddy bear and playing fort. And then as we grew older,
Yeah.
we partied together in that kind of time frame. And he and I were very close, even if we're in different cities, like we were so connected. And then he found out he had cancer. My father found out, okay, this is something to share with you guys. So Rob finds out he has cancer. Later, my father finds out he has cancer. He's only 59. And my cousin's only 25.
Okay.
And they pass. They end up following the traditional medical system, and not putting that down, but just they didn't know about inner healing at the time, or getting tapped into what's stuck inside their system, or alternative, not alternative, but holistic approaches to changing their diet, and all of that. They were trying, my dad was trying, but when they passed away, it was the beginning of a multitude of losses that I went through over the next about 8 years.
Okay.
And then more even recently, of course. And I was very close to some of them. And what I want our listeners to know is I didn't know this for the longest time, but I went through the traditional like grief and all these things. And two things came out of it, but one came first. The first is my, tapping into spirit. I'd always wondered, Jay, what happens when you die?
I have those. I have those theories too. I think when we get to a point, and I spoke to I got a Native American healer over here, Red Horse, and we were talking about, they're talking about the death period, talking about death, afterlife, and all that, but also the death of yourself and your old self or whatever. And you just wonder, and then when you get to a point where you go, okay, what is on the other side? I agree with you. Sorry to cut you off there. Keep going.
No, thank you for that interjection. I was just bringing up a thought that I had when I was a little girl that I always had. It was like when I was a little kid, we lived near mountains were behind us on the north side, in North Vancouver. In Vancouver, there's over the water, there's North Van and West Vancouver, beautiful mountains. And so just like my question was, what happens when you die? It was just a little girl thought, but it stuck with me that I always had curiosity about death. So I was like looking at a mountain and going, what's on the other side of that mountain? I was so young, I didn't know. I actually thought like there was like another city, or there was like, what's on the other side of the mountain, but I never knew. Anyways, one day I got into hiking, of course, and I learned there was more mountains on the other side of the mountain.
Hiking's fantastic. I must say.
It was so funny how little like my mind was working as a real tiny, who knows how old I was. But anyways, back to grief and loss, it was when my loved ones passed away where my spiritual intuition started to come in, and in coordination with eventually healing the heart and the grief, and now helping people navigate grief, loss, and self-doubt, your intuition, and become their own tuned in, intuitive healer and stuff.
Okay.
Is this. Yes, I was grieving, and I was always grieving. Someone else died, someone else died, someone else died. I was grieving, 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 and my life sucked, right? My relationships, I was giving away my power as a young woman, all of these things, not loving my body, got stuck in an addiction, eating disorder, depression, all of these things. I still deal with, mild moments of depression for sure, because it's all part of the letting go. But anyways, what was the blessing was it took me about 10 years later to realize that what was happening was, yes, I was grieving my loved ones, but every time someone asked, like, what's wrong, I would just think, well, my God, I just got more loss, more extension of myself, caring for those loved ones, all of this. And I thought that was like my main issue. And then one day when I was doing this work, like to my next level of awakening, I suppose you call it, I was like, whoa, this isn't about them. Yeah, that's grief's played an influence, the grief of loss of them, but it was the
Okay.
loss of me. And I was like, whoa, girl, like this just came up, like so many, a decade ago or whatever. And I was like, this is wild work. And I realized I gave my power away all the time. but thankful for that information and thankful for the gift my loved ones gave me, which I do believe has been true for me, is I started to get spiritual experiences, of them moving objects, playing with electricity,
Okay.
sensations of them, hearing my father's voice. I've only ever heard voice once.
So so when you had this experience and going into this is basically channeling from above. Is that what you're saying? Like all the you're getting, what I'm thinking is you're getting these visions and feelings and all that. Is that correct? Is that, am I reading that right?
You're on the right track. Yeah, I guess what I'm describing is going back to, not to confuse our
That's
listeners, but
okay.
going back
Keep going. That's all good.
question where I was like a little girl going, "Oh, I wonder what happens when you die,"
Hmm.
right? And not knowing, like personally not knowing. Sure, I was reading things and stuff, and I was
Yeah.
interested in psychic mediumship or natural healing, or, I'm a fitness person too, like you. So I'm always, those kinds of things are big for me, but it was when I started to have these signs and messages from the universe that helped me learn that our loved ones are still living, spiritually,
Okay.
still connecting with me.
Right.
So, and how people grow their intuition more, and trust themselves more is something would happen. Let me give you an example. Maybe that's a better way. Give a little fun little
Go
example.
for it. No, go for it.
Yeah.
I said it's free platform. There's no script. It's about you. So go for it. Go for it.
Well, us humans, we don't want fact, we don't want to be told something. We want a little story, right? Now, most of you now, when I first started having these experiences, the people around me, like my family, my friends, none of them had these experiences, so they couldn't help me. I had to go outside of my community and start to sought out people who knew what I was talking about, and it helped me build my trust. So when we're building anything in our lives, our confidence, our trust, our intuition, or we don't have to build the intuition. We just need to tap into it, right? And we do it through our hearts by getting calmer and healing the pain and the anxiety and the overwhelm. Sorry for maybe overwhelming everybody here. But for example, my cousin, I'll give you, this is one of the second or third things he did. So how it worked for me was, and this is why I've helped connect people with their own loved ones, more so than say connect with their archangels or different entities. For me, it's my spiritual cheerleaders have
That's a good
been,
way. That's a nice way of putting it.
yeah.
I like
You've
that.
probably heard the term like your spiritual team or your
Yeah.
spiritual guides.
Hey, no, I haven't heard cheerleaders before. It makes sense, though, doesn't it?
I love them. They're my spiritual cheerleaders. And so that's been my term for fun, right? Because they're rooting for you, they're cheering for you, they've got your back.
Yes.
Regardless of other people's, opinions. This is my experience. So my cousin Rob, and it's so funny because I've saved this. Actually, I've saved this in my bedroom. I keep it for like memory, but I have a clock radio. There's like a plug-in clock radio with digital numbers. And I would wake up to the radio station every morning. It was 95.3 FM in the Vancouver area, and it would be my alarm clock. And then I'd go off to work. And before my cell phone days. And so one morning I woke up, and Jay, the volume was increasingly louder than it was
Okay.
yeah.
Right.
So the first morning the volume's up, and I'm like, that's weird. And my mind goes, I wonder if I bump the volume button. Right. So I turn the volume back to a normal volume and I go on with my day. Don't really think a lot of it at the time. I've got a busy day ahead, going to like a corporate office and marketing lumber products.
Yep.
Very next morning, I set the alarm. I had adjusted the volume. I wake up, it's loud again. Right. So the frequency is being played with by something. Okay, but so the second time it starts to get my attention, right? So
Okay.
something calling your attention, like,
Right.
like wonder.
Right.
Third morning, it happens again. Now, by this point, they've got my attention, whatever they are,
Cool.
and I
Yep.
started to be shown, I'm thinking of my cousin Rob. I'm starting to feel like his energy. I'm remembering his humor. He was a real hilarious like dude. And I'm like, oh my God, Rob. And it just took time and many instances over the last years. So finally on about the fourth or fifth morning, it was still happening. And I'm now believing a little bit like, I wonder if it's Rob. Okay. So I've got this new piece of information in my body, right?
Yep.
So what's happening to you guys? Believe it. I have so many clients who ask, I'm having this experience with spirit or my loved one, and it couldn't really be them. I'm thinking about them, but always the answer is yes. So on
Right.
the fifth morning, not only was the volume button higher, totally different radio station, Jay. Totally different radio station was switched.
See for me, see for me that's amazing. See, for me, I can understand and in a different way, but it's on the same path where I believe I believe that you can, and this comes from, which we'll go into in part two, with regards to consciousness and understanding that the universe is giving you clues about where you're supposed to go. So obviously, there's no coincidences that I love superheroes and all that stuff, because a lot of the messages come through those cartoons and stuff. And there's a guy by the name of Brave Star who actually channels American Indian. He's got his American Indian, and he channels the powers of animal spirits. But then it came down to thinking about, can you channel someone that you need, someone that's passed on? I've got my friends who have, God rest their soul, passed on. When I go on stage and play music, I ask for them to come, and I can fit and just saying, look. And I remember there was one time I did the same thing. I went and played, and I've just gone. His wrestling name was Lord Lush. I said, Lord Lush, you with me or what? That's all I had to say. So I just tested the thing, and I played a great gig. I know, and I just felt like he was with me, and this is something that I'm coming into, exactly what you're just saying. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's the message from there. Believe what's happening and come to people who have done this. Everyone has different experiences, but it all comes down to the one collective. We have about 3 minutes to go on part one. Colleen, do you want to keep going with what just to give us a bit of a rundown what you're going to be talking about in part two, because there's so much, just a couple of things. I mean, this has been amazing. Some of the stuff that you've been saying, I mean, I can really resonate with it, with what you're saying. I mean, and you can see we're coming from. We've got our own, as I said, there's Batman and Wonder Woman, whatever it is. We've both got our own superpowers, but we're all in the one collective. How do you find that?
1,000%, Jay. We are all one and connected, and yet we're unique. And so to, wrap for this part of it, in our next part, I feel guided at this point. It could change, right? Because
absolutely. Absolutely.
I tap into what source is showing me in this moment. But
okay,
what I want to leave our viewers and connect, our beautiful humans with, is that this is your time to truly allow yourself to discover your authentic beingness, what truly matters to your heart, and living in a way that is out of the pain and into the joy. And so what we need to do, does that sound, and what we need to do is,
fun.
I mean, I can share how, I think I've got a minute left. I can share how in the next part, how you want to consider healing those emotional wounds, those childhood beliefs, those imprints that have held you down, whether they're culturally or family or ancestrally or past lives. This is your time to shine. But how do we shine? We have to go into the dark. We have to allow ourselves to transmute the pain that is, and you can see I'm pointing, it's not that our heart is the one in pain. It's like our smart brain. It's our energetics. But we want to dissolve wherever in the body is out of sync with ourselves, get into alignment. And so we have to release the emotion first, and then all the wonderful tools that were given by all the masses of, conditioning our mind. It's all a part of it, But this is where we go, guys. And this is where I have huge experience in helping my clients literally shift their vibrational frequency. So they are now living and loving life and attracting more abundance, love, and better health because we get out of our own way. So happy to go into that a little bit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is fantastic. This is what I'm saying. So there's a lot of healers on this planet. We've all got, and people will come to who they need to come to. And then you've got support systems like exactly like this lady over here. We're living a different, I'm at the bottom end of the world. She's at the top. However you want to put it, we're all coming together as one. That was fantastic for part one, Colleen. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show and have a chat. This is why I do what I do, just to get the information out and get people like your story out there on the internet to as many people as we can. So thank you so much. Part two is coming up very, very soon. We'll get that sorted. And we're going to say goodbye. And you can see we're going to have Colleen's email down the bottom if you want to contact her. Her details will be on this video. And I will finish this off by saying thank you to Colleen. And also thank you to everyone for viewing and watching, subscribing, everything else. And I always say, for my hero, Bret the Hitman Hart, he's a WWF superstar, world champion. He always says, get up in the morning and be the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. Mike, I've got to just say, but we'll look forward to part two, Colleen. Thank you so much. And we'll talk to you guys very, very soon. Take care.